What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. I am AdamMcKola. Hope you guys are all doing well. If you're anything like me, you're not doing well right now. You're still feeling it in your chest. Manchester United have lost 2 out of 2 of the opening game. It's middle of August and we've already lost all hope. And a 4-0 defeat against Brentford. It's an absolute sickener. Now, I'm away at the moment. I'm in Barcelona. No, I'm not trying to kidnap Frankie de Jong, although I'm thinking about it. I'm in Barcelona playing poker with the showdown and with poker stars. Can't wait for all of that stuff. But on my chest, sitting on my chest, is what is going on at Manchester United and what the hell is going wrong at Manchester United. There's so many things going wrong at the club, and there's been so many things going wrong at the club for the last 9 years that you can't even pinpoint what has exactly gone wrong. Now, obviously, we know the major issue at Manchester United are the Glazers. We know that there's protests against the Glazer ownership on a regular basis. There has been since 2005. Even when we're successful, those people that say United fans only protest no, we don't. We were protesting green and gold and all that when we were playing AC Milan in the Champions League and David Beckham was putting a green and gold scarf on. We've been protesting for a very, very long time against the Glazer ownership because they are rotten to the core and they are not good enough for Manchester United and they are not fit for purpose as Manchester United owners, and they are what is going wrong with the club. But there are people that think, oh well, they spend money, look how much money they spend on transfers, they're great owners. No, they are not. And in this video I'll tell you just why they are wrong for the club, why the culture is wrong at the club, and how they are ultimately deciding that culture at the club. Like from top to bottom, they decide what happens. They control what goes on at Manchester United. Now, for starters, when they took over the club, they took us over in a hostile takeover and they leveraged debt onto Manchester United. Since 2005, they have taken 1.5 million out of the club. The debt that they put on 1.5 billion out of I wish it was 1.5 million, 1.5 billion out of the club. The debt that they have leveraged onto the club in 2005 is still there till this day. The cost of the Glazer ownership is around £2 billion to Manchester United. Manchester United spend money on transfers because we can and we should be able to, and we should be able to spend more. We should be able to blow everybody out of the market the amount of money Manchester United make. We should be able to do what we want, but we can't because of the Glazer ownership. And they have ruined the culture at the club. Now, between 2005 and 2013, you had Sir Alex Ferguson, the greatest manager of all time. Of course he could paper over the cracks of what what they were doing. Of course he would continue with his success and spend here and there and strengthen the team. But United was still being blown out of the water by Chelsea and then by Manchester City for signings. When we wanted Essien and Robin and all these different players, we weren't getting them. Chelsea were getting them. When Cristiano Ronaldo gets sold in 2009 for a world record fee, who did we replace him with? Valencia, Obertan and Owen. For fractions of the fee. Where did that money go, by the way? Nobody knows. Don't worry, we'll wait. And I'll tell you why the Glazers are ruining the club and why they are responsible for what you're seeing on the pitch and how it manifests itself in what you're seeing on the pitch. And why Erik Ten Hag hopefully he's the genius that can, paper over those cracks. But why he even needs the Glazers to do one or to change drastically, or he's doomed for failure as well. Unless, he can coach around that. He's going to be needed to give him time. He's going to be needed resources. I think he's the right man for the job. Finally, we appointed a modern day manager, a forward thinking manager. He is the right man for the job. He's not to blame here. And I'll tell you why he's not to blame. Because the club is rotten from the top to the bottom. And there's so many things going wrong that you can't pinpoint one thing. So let's start off the pitch. As I said, you got owners that aren't concerned with the footballing project. Their main concern isn't the football at Manchester United. It's the commercial entity. It's making money. They've taken 1.5 billion out of the club. We're still in debt. Ed Woodward said it when he was in his role. Ultimately the footballing achievements aren't, it doesn't matter, what they do in terms of football because the commercial activities will still continue for them. Like, that's how they consider this. So you've got that to think of, and you got that to deal with, which is an issue. Then not only that, they appoint footballing directors and directors who aren't fit for purpose. You have the likes of Ed Woodward in control, Richard Arnold, John Mert. Are these guys fit for purpose? Are they true footballing people? Should they be pulling the strings at Manchester United? Should they? Are they the right people to help a manager? It has a knock-on effect. It impacts managers. Transfers are affected by their ability to make deals happen and sell players. The budget's affected because of the owners and their priorities. So not only have you got a budget which is affected, you've got incompetence. So you can't even get the best out of your budget because you've got idiots there. They don't set a philosophy of transfers. They don't set a philosophy of football. So when we've been reappointing managers, it's just chop and change. There's not one running theme in that. But their incompetence impacts managers completely. There's no spirit of success. So it's always the managers have to do. And therefore, if they don't succeed, they've got excuses. As long as they get maybe top 4, get something like that, they'll be all right. Or if they keep up appearances, they'll be all right. And while it's unspoken that this spirit of success and the mentality and everything and the winning, that comes from above. It's unspoken, but that spreads. And it has a knock-on effect. It's infectious. The focus on commercial impressions is infectious. The faux greatness is infectious. It spreads. You have players that then become only concerned about other things that aren't winning. It's infectious. You're rewarding failure. Players being given contracts left, right and centre because you think you're protecting value when you're not. Incompetence again, affecting managers. There's no consistent, thinking at all. And that's just off the pitch. And then when you look on the pitch, as a result of what we've mentioned before, as a result of the owners that don't care, that football isn't their number one priority, that the commercial entity is their number one priority, that have taken 1.5 billion out of the club, that have left us in substantial debt, that appoint people that aren't fit for purpose, that don't give us budgets that are fit for purpose. With all of that and the lack of a spirit of success, we then have managers that are chopped and changed because they can't succeed with what's going on above them, because they aren't the right appointment, because those idiots aren't making the right decisions. There's no consistent football culture or philosophy as a result of the aforementioned, the chopping and changing of managers that are inconsistent with their philosophies. The same with what goes on above that. I know I'm repeating myself a lot here, but a lot of this is all relevant. So as a result of that, no consistent football culture or philosophy, no methods in our transfers, bar the commercial impact. They made things happen when it was Cristiano Ronaldo because of the ability he has to sell shirts and things like that. But when it's a central, like a midfielder that we've needed for years, oh no, that's not sorted. We've been having to do with Fred and McTominay for so long. The spirit at the club is just ruined by them. We're not one that is focused on the footballing success. And when we spend money, we spend it incorrectly because we don't have the right people in the right positions and we don't have any structure off the pitch. This has seen us end up with a mishmash of a squad. Look at the squad. Players from Oli, Ten Hag, Van Gaal, Marie. It's just a mismatch of players that either aren't good enough, that aren't suited to the style of play, that should have been sold a long time ago, that have had the spirit drained out of them by the club. Like, some of these players were talented players and we've ruined them because of everything else that I've said. Big wages for poor players that we now can't get rid of. Does that ring a bell? And whenever a new manager comes in, because of a lack of a transfer philosophy or consistent philosophy of managerial selection, the squad isn't fit for purpose. And then too many changes are needed. So then at every transfer window you need 6, 7, 8, 9 signings instead of just 1 or 2. And when you need 6, 7, 8, 9 signings, We've got idiots upstairs that can't make that happen. They can't get rid of players to make room for new players. Or even when you have 6 players leave on a free or whatever it is, and you clear big wages off the wage bill, you still can't make business happen. And then because of that, you end up with poor squads, you end up with poor results, you end up with managers under pressure, you end up with the manager eventually getting sacked, and the cycle is just rinsed and repeated. And ultimately the problem is those lot upstairs, the Glazers. And nothing's going to change, really. Nothing's going to change. If they're going to stay, they need to focus on football. But that isn't me saying I want them to stay. I want them to leave ASAP. I want to see protest after protest. I support all the protests. I want to see the Glazers gone. And seeing Chelsea obviously go up for sale and see so many people come in for them to potentially buy them gives you hope that people would be there. Now obviously you don't want to end up in the hands of people that are using you for sports washing and things like that. That's one of the dangers. But United are only ever going to be successful in spite of the Glazers. So we need a manager to work his magic. Maybe needs a couple of years and he gets by on what he does, and then somehow, you know, we have a few players come through from the academy and that manager gets it going for a bit. But we're not going to have any sustained success or sustained periods of success, or we're not going to build properly for success while these idiots are in control. So they either have to sell up or sort themselves out, and the latter probably isn't going to happen, as sad as it is. And that's why this manager needs to be given time. I'm right behind Erik Ten Hag. I feel like he's the right man, that forward-thinking manager that we need. But these owners, they're not fit or proper. So yeah, man, gutted, absolutely gutted. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you're keeping it locked. I'm out of here.